What up, guys? Back again with another video. Today I'm going to be doing a DraftKings video on the UFC 220 card, MIOCIC versus NGANNOU, and pretty much I'm just going to go over pretty much every fight and just tell you pretty much about a little bit about each fighter and why I think they could be a good DraftKings play. So let's go ahead and start at the bottom. The beginning of the fight card, we got Makhachev versus Gleison Tibau, and you got Makhachev being the more expensive fighter. So here's Makhachev right here, 9,100, very huge salary. He has scored well in the past, but the difference is he's fighting someone who actually has good takedown defense in Gleison Tibau, and who's primarily a grappler just like him. So you got two grapplers, and I think the takedowns are gonna kind of cancel each other out. So it's going to be hard for Makhachev to get those takedowns to, justify paying 9,100 for him. So I don't think Makhachev's going to be able to get the takedowns that easily. I think he might be able to get, I'd say, 3 takedowns. 3 takedowns max. Maybe one at the end of each round if you can. I think Tibau might be able to get 1 takedown. But I see the fight mostly playing out on the feet, and both of these guys ain't really that good, of a striker. But obviously Makhachev is the big favorite for a reason. I do think he's going to get the win. I do think he's probably the better striker here. So he's going to have to use the striking to either set up the takedowns or just to win the fight. So I'm picking Makhachev to win, as I said in my UFC Fight Picks video. But as a DraftKings play, I would kind of stay away from him. But at the same time, if you actually do think that he is going to be able to get those takedowns easily, then throw him on your lineup. Because, well, if he gets those takedowns, you guys can see he scores 113, 87, 110. He could score pretty high if he gets those takedowns. So that's what I got to say about that. On Makhachev, for Gleison Tibau, I think he's gonna lose, but I mean, he's only 7,100. I think he's the second cheapest guy on the card. So if you're looking for value, if you think this guy could somehow get a win, I don't think he's gonna get the win, but if you think maybe he could score some takedowns, then throw him on a lineup. But that's all I got to say about that fight. Next fight, we got Barzola versus Mbasset. This is one of my favorite guys to pick on the whole card. Enrique Barzola, this guy's my favorite fighter on DraftKings to pick. I think he's very safe, and he also has a high floor, and he has high upside because of the takedown. So as you guys can see right here in his fights, his last fight 107 points. He had 9 takedowns, and his other fight before that, he had 104 points, and he had 7 takedowns. So as you guys can see, this guy's very consistently getting those takedowns. Kind of similar to Makhachev with the takedowns, except this time he's fighting an opponent who I don't think, his takedown defense is that great, and I don't think he's that good, and he's making his UFC debut. So there's a lot of pressure on Matt Bessette here. If he actually comes out and looks impressive, then I think Matt Bessette would be the sleeper of the DraftKings card. He'd probably be the guy, he'd probably be like the lowest owned or something like that, or like around there, because I really think everybody's gonna be on Barzola because they see the takedowns and the points. So yeah, I like Barzola a lot here in this matchup. I think he gets the takedowns, and it's safe to say he probably gets 80 points minimum if he wins, and if he I mean at the max he could get up to 100 points as seen before. So I think he has a high floor, and I think he's a pretty good DraftKings play. So he's one of my favorite plays of the week here. So let's go ahead and go on to the next fight. Julio Arce versus Dan Ige. Both these guys making UFC debuts. Julio's a striker, Dan is a grappler. Striker versus grappler matchup. If you like a grappler and a guy that has submission skills, fighting against a striker whose takedown defense is pretty good, but you think this guy could have a shot, maybe pick Dan Ige, because he's gonna go for those takedowns. If he gets those takedowns with this price, 7,600, that's a very cheap price, and you got some value on him if he's able to get the takedowns on Julio Arce. But I think Julio's gonna be too much on the feet. I think he's gonna be too fast, and more than likely he's gonna get a finish in this fight. So yeah, I'm picking Julio to win here, but I think Dan Ige has some value for sure at 7,600. So yeah, both these guys are making these UFC debuts. You never know how each of them are going to come out. But that's all I got to say about that fight. Next fight, we got Pantoja versus Dustin Ortiz. So Alexandre Pantoja right here, as you guys can see, His last fight he scored very good, but that's against a very low level opponent, an older opponent in Neo Siri. Before that, actually let's look at Dustin Ortiz here. This guy scored very high in his last fight. He got a first round knockout, which is very rare in the flyweight division. Yeah, I mean, he whooped that ass. This guy's not a grappler. He's a wrestler. Dustin Ortiz is a wrestler with some decent striking, and Pantoja is a jiu-jitsu guy with also some decent striking. So it's kind of a very even fight. It just kind of depends who you like more. A lot of people are going to be in Pantoja because I think he's more of a safe play at 8,500. But I think Dustin Ortiz has a shot to win the fight. So I like Dustin Ortiz as a cheap guy to get the win. I think more than likely he'll win by decision. And looking at his fights, you know, when he wins by decision, you see 89 points, 79. Yeah, I think if he wins, more likely he's gonna give you probably like 65 or 70 points. But you never know. If he gets a finish, he could get up to 100. So yeah, I like Dustin Ortiz as a as a cheap guy to throw on the lineup. Pantoja, I mean, he's not bad, but I think his price is a little bit too high for me, and I don't think he gets a finish. So I'm not too interested in Pantoja. Alright, so next fight you got RAZAK ALHASSAN versus Homasi. Both these guys fought already. ALHASSAN, as you guys could see, got the finish in that fight. Scored 119 points on DraftKings. That's very fucking good, very high. His opponent Homasi though didn't do bad at all. It was like a war in that first round. They said it was, you know, an early stoppage, so they decided to do the fight again. And you know, this time I'd say, well, the odds are a little bit closer, but I still think ALHASSAN's gonna get the win. If you think Homasi is gonna be able to actually, you know, finish him this time, then maybe pick Homasi because he's very cheap, 7,200. If a lot of people seen that last fight, maybe they're thinking, oh, this guy has a shot to win. We've seen how that first fight played out. He scored 20 points in the first round. Maybe they're thinking, you know, this guy has a really good shot. But I think ALHASSAN's gonna be more patient, and he's gonna end up finishing him in the second round. He's gonna try to avoid the war and get a clean victory. So I'm picking ALHASSAN to win. And yeah, I think he should score pretty decently well. He's expensive though, so if this backfires, you're gonna be pretty much done, I would say, because if Homasi gets a finish, then damn, all those guys that have Homasi are gonna jump up the ladder. So yeah, just be wary of that. But that's all I gotta say about that fight. Next fight, Bochniak versus Brandon Davis. Both these guys, same price. It's just who do you want more? This guy making his UFC debut, or a guy that's been in the UFC but who sucks at DraftKings. Look at his points, guys. His last fight, 12 points, and he lost. Before that, against Barzola, a fight a lot of people thought he lost. He only scored 59 points in a win. That's horrible. That's really bad. Against Rosa, he scored 41 points in a loss. That's not bad in a loss, but what I'm saying is this guy's not winning fights. He's not that impressive, and he's a low DraftKings scorer. So that's a guy we don't want. Brandon Davis, a guy with very high output. I think he gets the win. I think he wins by decision, but since he has such high output in his fight against the Dana White Contender Series, he scored over 100 significant strikes. So I think his volume and his price, and yeah, I just think he's gonna be able to win the fight. I think that makes a really good play because he's only 8,100, and he can help you with your lineup to save some money. So yeah, I like Brandon Davis, but for some reason you like Bochniak, then well, get him. They're both same price. Alright, so we're on to the main card here now. We got Almeida versus Rob Font. Almeida's coming off a loss against Jimmy Rivera, who's a beast. No shame in that. Before that, he gets a knockout against Morales and scores very high. You got Rob Font here, coming off a loss also to Pedro Munoz, a fight he was doing well in with his striking, but he gets caught with a submission for going for I think a takedown, which was a very big mistake in his part. So I think this guy's fight IQ is pretty bad. Also, Rob Font seems to not be, you know, fighting well when he's under pressure, when he's moving backwards. Almeida's a pressure fighter. He's going to be coming at him. You know, he's going to throw those hands, going to use that striking. So I like Almeida here to get the win. I mean, it makes sense that he's a very slight favorite. I mean, he's only $200 more than Rob Font. But I think Rob Font could be a sneaky play, but I like Almeida here to win the fight. So I'm picking Almeida to win. But if you like Rob Font, then maybe throw him on the lineup. You know, he's not a bad price. Yeah, like I was saying, Rob Font's not a bad price. So if you think he's gonna get the win, I'd say throw him on the lineup. He's only 8,000. could definitely help with some savings on your lineup. So yeah, I think Almeida gets it done. I think Almeida more than likely wins this fight. I was thinking maybe second round knockout, but Rafa seems durable, but you never know. So I'm just gonna say Almeida by decision, and he'll probably score 80 points in a decision win. But looking at his stats here, I mean, he scores like 90 points and higher every single time he wins. So he might score 90. So yeah, Almeida I think is a good play, and he's not bad at all in price. All right, next fight. This fight, guys, you guys got to stay away from it. Both these guys are not that great. Volkan does have knockout power, so if he's able to clip Barroso early, there's a chance he's able to hurt him early, and then gets that first round finish. And I would really think Volkan is going to be very, very lowly owned, because there's a lot of guys near his price that are going to be better fighters and better DraftKings scorers. But since this guy has knockout power, you never know. If he wins, look at that. Like in that Safarov fight, when he won second round knockout, he scored 110 points, which is very high. And the Perosh fight, that guy's kind of an old guy, but whatever. He scored 110 points. So this guy has potential to get a quick finish. I don't really see it happening. Barroso seems pretty durable, pretty tough, and this guy, he's not a good DraftKings scorer either. So I would really stay away from Barroso unless you're just looking for a cheap guy to throw in the lineup and you're hoping this guy gets the win, because other than that, Barroso's not going to do much. I mean, even when he wins, look at that, his last win, I guess he did alright in that fight because he actually had takedowns, but I don't see the takedowns coming at all in this fight. So let's say on this fight, look at that, 64 points or 53 points. That's not that great. But like I said, if you're looking for a cheap guy, save some money, and you're hoping he gets a win, maybe throw Barroso on the lineup, because Volante's not that great. But I do think Volkan is going to get the win here, probably by decision. But I think it's going to be a low output fight, and both these guys are not going to score well, and they're not going to be on winning lineups unless it's Barroso that gets a win, because he's going to be cheap, so he could maybe be on a winning lineup if people use him, to save salary. So that's all I got to say on that fight. Next fight, Burgos versus Qatar. This guy's a really good DraftKings player, guys. He's averaging 99 points a fight. His last fight, 116. Before that, 94. Before that, 88. He's scoring minimum 73 significant strikes per fight. This guy's very high output, good boxing, good power. He's very aggressive. I like his output. And man, he's a good DraftKings player. His opponent, he's coming off a very impressive underdog win against Andre Fili, and he won that fight. He scored decently well right there. 75 significant strikes, 2 takedowns, 78 points. Not bad at all for a guy that was 7,000 on his salary. That's very cheap. So he's the cheaper fighter here again, except this time I think Burgos is going to be able to get it done. I feel like Burgos is going to be better on the feet. Qatar's not a bum, but I just have I just hold Shane Burgos in higher regard. He's like kind of the future right now. He's 10-0, and I think this is a very winnable fight for him. So I'm gonna take Shane Burgos. He's looked great. He's a great DraftKings player, even if he does lose. But I don't think he's gonna lose. He will probably score at least 50 points, even in a loss. But I think Burgos' minimum points he scores is 90 points here, up to 120. So yeah, I like Shane Burgos a lot on my lineups. Now we're on here to the co-main event. We got Cormier versus Volkan Oezdemir. Cormier is obviously coming off that loss to John Jones. And what else? That's all I really got to say actually about Cormier right there on his stats anyway. Volkan, very impressive 3-fight win streak, averaging 90 points in his UFC fights. He has very quick finishes. He lands early and he hurts people early. But as you guys can see in that fight against St. Preux, when he went to decision, he scored 82 significant strikes, and he still scored 71 fantasy points. So yeah, I think Volkan here, even in a decision fight, if he does lose the fight, I mean, he's the cheapest guy on the card here. He's the cheapest guy. So even if he does lose in a 5-round decision, he will probably still score you, I'm going to go ahead and say 40 through 50 points, possibly more. So Volkan could be a cheap pump play if you don't think he gets the win. For me, I actually think he will get the win, and I really like the value on him. So I like Volkan here a lot. Cormier, I mean, he gets those takedowns, so you know he could score pretty decently if he lands those takedowns. But I think Volkan's going to be kind of hard to take down at the beginning. So I think, you know, Cormier is going to struggle in the beginning, and that's when Volkan will be able to strike. So I don't really like Cormier too much. He's the most expensive guy on here. And I mean, he's averaging 80 fantasy points. I don't really think he's going to do, you know, that great. At the same time, you know, he might score you 90 through 100 points, which is pretty solid. But since he's the most expensive, I think there's other guys that could get similar results and that are cheaper. So yeah, that's what I really got to say about that fight. But yeah, I think Volkan gets the win, probably second round knockout. And yeah, I just really like the value on Volkan. If you really think Cormier is going to run through Volkan, then for sure pick Cormier. Because, well, I guess, you know, you could just pick him as a safe guy to get the win here. That could score you like 90 through 100 points maybe, if it goes to 5 rounds or whatever. Anyways, next fight, we're on to the main event. Ngannou versus Stipe Miocic. So we got Ngannou, a finisher, undefeated in the UFC. He's 11-1 record, very good record. 95 points he's averaging. He's knocking everybody out in the first round. And you got Stipe Miocic, a guy who's also knocking everybody out. Look at this. Look at the stats there, guys. You see that? You see that shit? Boom! Look at that. He got like 4 first-round knockouts in a row right now. So this guy's been smoking people, but now he's fighting a guy who also smokes people. So a very dangerous fight here for Stipe. I like Stipe, and he has excellent value at 7,300. But I mean, you know, I got that gut feeling. I think Ngannou's gonna be able to get it done. So I don't like Stipe because, I mean, he has value, but I think he could get slept in the first round. But actually, I think one of these guys are gonna get slept. Someone's gonna get knocked out. If Stipe wins, he's gonna have to survive first and second round, and I don't see it happening. But if it does happen, you know, he got the takedowns, and he can finish you also. So, I mean, there's that, you know. So Stipe could be a good value play, but I really think Ngannou's going to be able to take him out of there in the first round, you know, early on the fight. So I really like Ngannou. He's only 8,900. He's expensive, but I do think he gets the finish and he gets it done. So yeah, I like Ngannou, but if you really like Stipe, man, he's really cheap. And if you pick Stipe, you could afford a lot of good guys. So Stipe is not a bad play at all, but personally, I think Ngannou wins this fight. So yeah, guys, that does it for me on these DraftKings picks. I'm not going to share with you guys a lineup that I made or anything like that because, well, obviously I want to win. But yeah, hopefully these you know, these tips kind of helped you out, and hopefully you guys got something out of it. That's all, you know, that's my input on all the fights there. So yeah, guys, that's gonna be it for this video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, please. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers before next month. Exactly 1 month before, you know, February 20th. They're gonna cut out my monetization. So please consider subscribing, especially, you know, if you play, you know, MMA DraftKings. I'll be doing these videos from now on. So yeah, stay tuned, subscribe. Thanks for support for whoever subscribed, and yeah, that's gonna be it, guys. So thanks for watching. Hope you guys win some money and enjoy the fights. Catch you guys on the next video.